Begin transmission. Hello, everybody. It is Chris, aka Starrapter, back with Outer Rim Transmission. This is episode 215 here with the full crew, Milton and Ben. Couple weeks off, enjoying the holidays, but hey, we are back. We're finally catching up on the news this week. We have stuff from Young Jedi Adventures. Yeah, we also have, Young Jedi Adventures. Yeah, we also have stuff about Insider. And we're finally getting, we alluded to this a week or two ago, we're finally getting to our discussion for The Hunt for Ben Solo, the canceled movie that was never announced. We're getting into that and more on 215 of the episode. Throwing it over to Ben. How's it going, man? How was your Thanksgiving and everything else?
Good, good. Just getting over a cold over here myself. I was sick most of last week and still getting over that. But other than that, pretty good. Had a good Thanksgiving and everything. Of course, talked some Star Wars with, some family, of course, and ready to hop back on here and talk about all of this.
Oh yeah. How's it going, Milton?
I'm good, guys. Glad to be back on the podcast. Just like Ben, I'm actually recovering from sickness myself. I was sick the last couple of days. Actually, had a fever of 102.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Plus, I'm on call working this week, so still have to be on point somehow. But thank God I have a great wife who took care of me the last couple of days and made sure that I was recovering appropriately. So, other than that, though, it's good to be back. Good to talk some Star Wars. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it indeed. This was the week of Thanksgiving. My week in Star Wars is, of course, if you have Thanksgiving, so it's the day after Black Friday. There's deals and whatnot on various things, whether or not they're actual deals or just manufactured to look like they're deals. But that's a discussion for another topic. I did go to my local stores and support them because apparently yesterday, as recording this on Sunday, was Small Business Day or something like that. So I went to the local shop, bought some Star Wars stuff like miniatures and some cards and different things like that. So that was my week at Star Wars. Like, supporting the small business, as we see more and more of these places shut down because they can't compete with the likes of Walmart and Amazon and Target and everything else. It feels good to give back, but it's also got good deals at the same time. So that's what I did. I don't know if Ben, if you got any good deals or anything, and not even just Star Wars or you Milton as well, whatever.
I didn't really have any. I didn't do any shopping. I mean, I was just watching football, honestly, Friday and Saturday, of course. Go Buckeyes, knocking off Michigan. So I didn't really do anything like that. For me, my week in Star Wars was more just behind the scenes content. Actually, I think I sent Milton the clip maybe sometime during the week. Um, there was a clip that popped up on Instagram I'd never seen before from A New Hope, and it was behind the scenes of the meeting of the Imperial officers, like right before Vader walks in. And the one guy who Vader chokes, like he actually refers to Vader as a Sith, like when they're talking about, Vader and stuff. And like they literally say the word Sith clear back in A New Hope, which is so crazy. Like, it's it's never said, on the final cut of any of the original movies. So I thought that was interesting that that word was like used like that by an imperial officer. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting little clip. And then like another cool little clip I seen from back in the day was like in the 80s. It was like an advertisement from television where it was like breaking news: the Empire is taking over the galaxy, and it was like an advertisement, and it was literally Darth Vader, like they had like James Earl Jones's voice, like he was advertising for the first time Star Wars coming to television or whatever back then.
Wow.
So it was really cool, like seeing it, like because they made it, Chris, like the little clip, it was literally like an advertisement, like the Empire intercepted a transmission onto RTV where they made it like it was like, the Empire talking to us saying, "Hey, Star Wars is coming," and like Darth Vader's literally like, "Watch the Empire's glorious victory," blah 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 blah, like, you know, and all this, and I was like, dang,
Well,
that's so cool that they put that much into advertising back in the day.
yeah. Now, with the Mandalorian and Grogu, we're going. Where is the advertising? Where is the promotion? It feels like there's no movie coming out in less than a year. So
Yeah,
times
yeah, I
have
mean that's
changed.
true though.
Lucasfilm has certainly changed, and that's a whole topic for another day. But something I've been thinking about is like, apparently there's rumors out there. Friend of mine, friend of the show, Joel Davis was saying. Apparently, from what he heard, is that they are targeting to advertise the Mandalorian and Grogu the same way that they did Lilo and Stitch, which apparently was not like that much of advertising, but yet the thing cracked 1 billion, or at least got very close to it. So take
I
with
think
that what
Lilo
you
and Stitch
will.
is. In my opinion, though, I know this is crazy to say, but if you would have made me guess before Lilo and Stitch or Mando, I would have guessed Lilo and Stitch would have made more money just because, our
Yeah.
generation grew up with it. A lot of
Yep.
younger folks did.
Nostalgia.
And it's just the way, like, you know, I guess this is a whole podcast for another day talking about like the state of Star Wars, but Star Wars isn't what it was in 2015, 16, 17, like in terms of like popularity. So like I don't know, like when to me I think Mandalorian will be successful if it makes like 450 million. Like I don't think it's going to make anywhere near 1 billion personally. But that's
I know. I
we'll
don't think
dive
it
into
will
that
either.
eventually.
I don't think it will either, and that's saying something because now it doesn't even have to compete with Grand Theft Auto 6. So there's nothing that could possibly stand in its way. There's no Avengers movie coming out 3 weeks before, 3 weeks after.
Yep.
If this thing falls on its face, it's because it's going to fall on its own face, and it's not going to be any other external kind of threat that will have done it. There will be no, basically like, oh, it was this, it was that. No, the movie will fail if it
Like when they
fails.
hung Solo out to dry.
Yeah. So
Because they sandwiched Solo between Deadpool and Avengers.
yeah, there's no other excuse at this point that they could
Yep.
use if this thing doesn't do well. So other than the people just wanted something more than this, and hopefully Lucasfilm will learn their lesson and they'll be like, okay, we're never gonna do a cash grab like this again. I hate to
Mhm.
say that's what it feels like, but I feel like we've voiced our opinions on this thing enough at this point, and we're gonna still voice our opinions on this because this thing is still not out for another 7 or 8 months at this point. So we'll see. Coming hot with the fire off of a 2 week break. What are you gonna do?
Very true.
Oh man. What about you, Milt? In the last 2 weeks, have you had any Star Wars cool like videos you've seen, or any more playing of? Did you start Jedi Survivor or anything like that?
No, I haven't started Jedi Survivor. I think I'll probably do that this upcoming Christmas break when I have a couple more days off from work. So I'll probably look to explore it during that time. I think the only thing I have for Star Wars related, I messaged you guys, I think last weekend, was that I had my wife start watching the Kenobi series,
Oh, that's right.
Mm.
and I think we watched the first 2 episodes. So I haven't really sat down with her to debrief what she thought of it thus far, but she seemed into it. I mean, I think it helps that she recognized who Obi-Wan Kenobi is. She's seen the prequels, but she seemed invested into the show. So I want to at least, because we've seen the movies. I've had her seeing the movies. She likes them.
Yep.
I want to now start seeing if she likes like some of the shows that I've at least given interest in. So we'll do Kenobi. We'll probably do Ahsoka. I don't think I'm going to try Clone Wars with her. I think that's a little too much.
Yeah.
I may have her watch like the last 4 episodes of like Clone Wars that ties into Revenge of the Sith. But yeah. So thus far, I'm just seeing I'm trying to see where she's at when it comes to liking these other shows besides the movies.
I think that's a good strategy just because Kenobi, with it only being like 6 episodes or whatever it is,
Right.
That's a lot easier of an ask than you asking to watch like, I don't know how many are in Mando, however many, whatever,
Right.
24 episodes or whatever it is. Like it's way easier to like ask someone to watch like Kenobi
Yeah.
or, something like that.
Yeah, and that's I mean, and look, she's not a Star Wars head like we are. Like we're nerds about it. We know the ins and outs of random characters that we've seen once or twice. We're like, oh yeah, we know that person comes from that planet and they have this. She wouldn't know this, and so when it comes to shows like Mandalorian, I think that's a little too inside baseball for her right now. I think once we take the time to go back to season one and maybe start that series, I can explain to her, hey, this is who this character is. This is how it ties into like the timeline of Star Wars. But I think it's going to be a lot. I think I'd rather just give her a series that's 6 to 8 episodes, about 30, 40 minutes long. It's not that too much. It's not that much to invest in, but it's still interesting enough to where she'd understand the gist of it, and I can at least give her like the cliff notes of where this lands.
You know what might actually be a decent one to watch as well, actually, after Kenobi, even though it's not in the same, obviously, time period. I mean, Skeleton Crew is a complete one-off.
Oh, yeah. My girlfriend loved that series.
I feel like she that. Yeah, I didn't even think about, that's not my favorite show, but I feel like she would like that because of that element of like how with the kids and the adventure.
I think that'd be a really good one for her.
Yeah, it's not as scary. It's not like it's got its intense moments, but it's not like over the top. Now, I mean, look, I'm trying to convince her to watch Stranger Things, but listen, we're working on that one. But I think Skeleton Crew for her will be her cup of tea when it comes to Star Wars for sure. I think she likes Kenobi because of the little girl. I think she's enjoying the little girl, Leia. But yeah, I think so far it's been successful. I'm looking forward to finishing the next 4 episodes.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think any of us thought the first 2 episodes were actually bad. I think the first 2 episodes were pretty strong, and then the finale was pretty good for the most part. Yeah, but it was the middle area of the whole show is where it kind of fell apart. So it's pretty tight and just concise in those first 2 episodes. Like, hey, we're going back to Tatooine. Now we're going to, I think Dayu was the second episode where you go to the city planet, right? Yep. Yeah, like all that stuff was great. It's that 3rd, 4th, and 5th episode which falls off for me.
Well, I did show her like the first like 5 minutes of like episode 3, and I'm like, oh yeah, you got to see this. And it's obviously them revealing Vader, which was dope. That's where we ended. So hopefully we can. I'm curious to see her reaction to the next 4, just because she knows how Revenge of the Sith ends, and she's seen that. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how she reacts to certain things.
Oh yeah. So yeah, very good stuff there. As you mentioned, I just caught up on Stranger Things last night, and as I was watching Stranger Things season 5, I'm going, oh man, yeah, Skeleton Crew really captured the vibe really quite well of Stranger Things. I know when that was being, thrown out there in the rumors, they're like, we're getting a Star Wars show that is on par with Stranger Things. And I was like, yeah, they actually pulled it off. So
yeah, Stranger Things is its own great entity. I just finished episode 4 tonight.
Nice.
So good.
Yeah.
Vecna can do whatever he wants. He's so great.
So without spoiling it, because I just seen this blurb on Twitter, the moment with Vecna was pulled straight from Rogue One. Whoever was in charge of that episode, whoever's involved with Stranger Things creatively, they literally said in an interview that they took the Vader moment at the end of Rogue One and basically did that with Vecna. And you can even see when like Vecna's coming through that red like shield thing. It looks like Vader. And then when he starts wrecking people, it's Vader.
That's a good point. Honestly, this is where my other nerd side comes. I took it as like the Roman Reigns entrance from WrestleMania 40. Dude, it looks so good. The camera shot was amazing. Oh. He looked like he was on juice. Yeah. Like was Vecna taking steroids?
Yeah.
Like he looked thick.
Yeah, dude, that moment was crazy because I was watching that with my girlfriend and my mother, and we're all just like screaming, like, "Oh my gosh, it's crazy!"
Dude, I'm literally sitting on the couch. I was sitting on the couch with my headphones on, watching on my phone, and I'm watching like the Demogorgons do the Lord's work and just wrecking everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm literally talking to myself out loud, saying, "These mofo's ain't playing around. Like they're just wrecking everybody." And then my wife just looks at me like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, like it's real."
Yeah, I got straight up like Jurassic Park vibes with those Demogorgons, like imagining like they're like velociraptors, like the way they're like hunting these people and just wrecking them.
I mean, look, I know this is a Star Wars podcast, but quick pivot. But like, literally, when was it? What's the dude with the truck? I forget his character's name, but he's with Robin with the kids in the truck. That reminded me of Lost
Oh, yeah.
World episode or Jurassic Park 2 because
Oh
they're in the
yeah,
tall grass, but then like they go
yeah,
like looks like the Velociraptors are coming after him. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
this is kind of dope. Like it
yeah.
reminded me of that, and I'm like, yeah, this is
I'm so
scary.
happy I was not the only person who thought
Yeah,
about that. So that's
no.
great.
I thought of the tall grass. I'm like, oh, this is a great pool that they went to this because that's a great scene that's very scary. So it's like, yeah, this show is so good. I will make my wife watch this show eventually. Like it's fire.
Yeah, I know that's the thing. Like, it's very new user friendly, I guess you could say, or something
Yeah.
like that. Because my sister, who has not even seen Star Wars, like
That's
she's
fine.
not even freaking watched much fantasy in her life at all. But for whatever reason, she's obsessed with the show. And I'm like, okay. Like, she told me to watch the show, and then I got onto
Yeah.
it. So that shows you, like, it's good for the mainstream viewers. Like I said, my mom watches it. So it's like, yeah, I think you can
Right.
introduce that show
Well,
to pretty much anybody.
I think what's nice, and this is where we can tie back to Star Wars. I think what's nice about Stranger Things, and even with Star Wars, it does have a nostalgia type feel to it. You know, because of like, I know Stranger Things literally takes place in the 80s. That's the time period. But looking back on how it makes you feel like that was your childhood, especially for people who were born like in the 60s, like the 70s and 60s, to them, they're like, yeah, I remember this stuff from the 80s. I remember the boom boxes, the cassette tapes, the yada yada. I mean, literally like the spam in the can or something like that, or like stuff that you're seeing
Yeah.
now. Like I've seen this stuff as a child. I was born in '87, so I still remember boom boxes and tape cassettes and
Yeah.
VCRs and something.
Same.
Oh my god, this isn't unfamiliar to me. But if it was someone like my dad watching this, who was born in the 50s or 60s, he'd probably be like, "Oh my god, yeah, I remember this, and this. I know this band. I know this song. That's a cool shirt. I remember that group." Like for an older population, it makes sense that your mother likes this show.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, I think looking at us like in Star Wars, like it's very much a fantasy type thing. It reminds us of our childhood. Or like, yes, make believe, fairy tales. Like that's what we grew up on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, good on Netflix for putting Stranger Things out there as an event.
Chris, I think you're still muted.
Oh,
And
am I muted? Can you hear me?
there now.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. I might be having slight internet problems, so that's probably what's going on. It might be lagging a little bit. But good on Netflix for making it an event and putting it out there during major holidays when people have some spare time to kill and they're with family members. Maybe Disney Plus will take a note out of this and do something like that with Star Wars. Have a couple binging nights of episodes rather than one a week. You could put out like 3 weeks, but like concentrate. I guess in a way that Andor was. Andor kind of did that in a way. They put out three episodes a week there for a while. It's effective. It's effective. But
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice, but knowing Star Wars, we'll probably Ahsoka will probably drop like on a random whatever in the middle of September or something next year.
we shall see. Yeah, I think September is a good bet. So, getting into this week, we had a release of one single comic from Marvel that was Boba Fett Black, White, and Red, issue number 3. You can see my thoughts on that on the YouTube channel. And by the way, we are also available on any kind of podcast streaming app of your choice, whether it be Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, and more. We're on there, so just search Outer Rim Transmission. Our first big story of the week. This came out, I think, last week. We have a new trailer for Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures Season 3. And what's memorable about this is it also marks the final season of this show. This will be Season 3. It'll be coming out on December 8th. And what was nice at the end of the trailer, they did show a nice little bit of foreshadowing / like a jump in the future. You get to see the kids with Padawan braids, so they eventually become Padawans, which is nice because, there is a difference between younglings and Padawans. Younglings don't even have a master yet. Padawans end up having the master, end up having the Padawan braid. So we're seeing the whole show come around full circle by the end of it. You know, I know you guys haven't really delved into this show. I've watched it in the background. As I'm doing other things, I would have it on to just look over and be like, oh, that's a cool alien design, and then go back to what I'm doing. But, you know, only 3 seasons. Like, this could have been going on for 5, 6, 8 seasons if they wanted to. But this was kind of like the first serialized kids show in the modern era of Star Wars. So I'm wondering if Lucasfilm will be, you know, doing something similar with a different era, maybe. And what was cool about this was it was the High Republic. It was able to not make huge connections, but still be in the same galaxy, the same playground where the books and the comics were kind of pathfinding their way around a new era. So, Ben, I don't know if you have anything to say about this or whatever.
Not really, other than, hey, it's good if, folks liked it, or if kids liked it. And I think, stuff like that always has its place in Star Wars. Just because, look, before that we had like Resistance, and, things like that. So I think, it's cool that it was able to like get its final season without just getting axed randomly. So it's 3 seasons feels appropriate, especially for like a kid's show, because normally, unless it's like a long-standing thing like whatever, like Pokemon or something, most shows like that only last like 3 or 4 seasons. So it's good. It had a nice run.
Yeah, Milton, I know you have some relatives that are of the age range of this. Do you think, or have they already watched this show, you think?
None of my nieces and nephews watch Star Wars, honestly.
Okay.
For me personally, my nieces, the main thing they like at the moment right now is the show Spidey and Friends. It's like
Yeah.
That's my niece's favorite show right now. So she's all about that stuff. So it's no Star Wars on the radar unless they come over here.
Right. Yeah, they're still too young. Like they're still like at like the Bluey phase and all that stuff like that. So it still hasn't gotten to them yet. I mean, I think probably when they're like maybe 5 or 6, I'll try to introduce it to them.
Yeah. That's the thing is like with the young kids, I haven't heard a lot of people talking about the show, unfortunately. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just not in the right sphere of people talking about it or something. But it just feels like, is this just not getting enough eyeballs? Is this why it's only season 3? Again, I'm looking way too far into the tea leaves on this one. But I again, hearing from Milton with his experience, Ben, hearing from you, going to my own personal experience with my niece and nephew, they're not turning on Young Jedi Adventures on demand. They're turning on, like Milton said, Spidey and Friends or something else. So
yep.
That's my concern is that, this cool new shiny kid Star Wars show, but why do I not see kids running around with action figures like these things? No, they're running around with Spider-Man action figures,
I think, I mean, honestly though, I think it has to do with it could be the marketing, but it also character choices. Look, you have like Spider-Man, you have Captain America, you have all the main Marvel characters in that Spider-Man kids show. So like, I think if Star Wars would, do like a kids show, where you have, pretty much I guess like the Lego show, but with like not Lego, you know what I mean? Like if it was just like, a kid version of Darth Vader or a kid version of, whatever, Chewie and things like that. I think something like that would hit more just because it has more iconography. Cause like even when my 3-year-old niece is over here, whenever she always sees like my Darth Vader Black Series figure, and she always picks him up and like, she always brings it over to me and she's always like, Uncle Ben, why is he a mean guy? And like, she's always, she knows Darth Vader's a bad guy. So like, the kids are exposed to like the main iconic Star Wars characters. And I think that could be a better drawing card than trying to make something from scratch.
Yeah. It's like, I know they're so caught up with canon and continuity and all, but like the Lego stuff is never in continuity. So even if they make the stuff to not look like Legos, you just put a thing at the beginning, like just have people know this is not canon, but still use Luke and Vader in crazy scenes and whatnot. If they really want to just do these like crazy like slapstick comedy stuff to make the kids laugh, but using characters like Han and Leia and Rey and Finn, and just it could work, but it's just who knows? Maybe they realize that. Maybe that's next. We're gonna see soon. Maybe.
Yeah.
So something else that is coming to an end. Geez, yeah. There's a lot of things like in today's episode that are kind of negative or kind of ending in a way. This one kind of hits close to home for me, at least, and that's Star Wars Insider, the official Star Wars magazine, is shutting down next year with issue number 237. I'm surprised that the number's not higher for being around for like 30 years. But I do know that they come out like once every 2-3 months, and maybe there was a bigger gap in there where they didn't have any issues. But anyway, I suffice. I digress. This is kind of crazy, but then is it? Because magazines have been on the downward trend. I mean, you look at the big Hollywood trades, Ben, like Entertainment Weekly, that hasn't been on shelves. I don't think Empire magazine, correct me if I'm wrong, has been on shelves. Like all these major public things, they're just websites because it's a different age, right? We get our information, at our fingertips on our phones, at our computers instantly, rather than wait a whole circulation month for these stories to get to us. So it's like, oh, this is all new. So while they did try to inject stuff for what you would want to pick this up for, such as the original fiction stories, other than that, they would have some cool little interesting like interviews and articles in there, but a lot of the stuff you would already see online. So Milton, over the years, have you ever picked up Star Wars Insider?
No, but I remember when I was in high school, I remember seeing like the clip. Well, it would be like we get like little like snippets of it and like little like other like article like magazines or whatever. I remember Revenge of the Sith. Whenever they were like promoting that movie, they used the magazine to like show like behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't see it in the Star Wars magazine. I remember seeing like the clips or like the articles from the Star Wars magazines and other like entities that were, and it was interesting because I always wanted to get that magazine, but I could never afford it, and like that was something that my parents weren't willing to pay for at the time. But yeah, I do remember it. I just never got it. But my memory is seeing the behind the scenes stuff promoting Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that was one of the cool benefits. I don't remember that. At the time, I wasn't really into Star Wars, as I said. Like during Revenge of the Sith, I just kind of out of it at the time. What I remember, the first memory for me with the Star Wars Insider was back in 1998. I was getting and I wasn't subscribed either. I think what I was doing is I would go to, as I often did every week, I would go with my mom to like here is a ShopRite, the local grocery store, and I would just wait in the magazine aisle as my mom would shop, and I would happily go with her, as most kids would say, no, I don't want to go with you. I was too young to stay home, but I was a good reader, so I would go, and I would go wait in that magazine aisle, and I would pick up issues of like Xbox Official Magazine, Game Pro, Electronic Gaming Monthly, and then there would be a Star Wars Insider every once in a while. I'd find one, I'd be like, oh, this is cool, and I would have my mom buy it, because I think that one specifically had the freaking plastic wrap, so you couldn't do what I did and flip through it. And then apparently there was like, oh, if you get this many posted stamps, or no, if you get some kind of like cardboard cutouts of different action figures or something, you mail it in with the insider information or something like that to do with Insider. And that's how I got my first like figure for, I think it was Mace Windu, or was it the Starrapter? It might have been both, but I do remember getting a Mace Windu that I had to mail in, I'm pretty sure, from in Star Wars Insider, if I'm not incorrect there. So like for me that was interesting. And again, like the internet wasn't around back then. So seeing behind the scenes for things like the Phantom Menace, seeing concept art of the Naboo starfighters, going, holy crap, this looks like way different than anything else. And now we just go on Twitter and YouTube, and we're seeing everything that way. So I mean, Ben, what are your memories of Star Wars Insider?
Yeah, for me, I was kind of more along the lines of Milton. Like, I didn't really get it. Like, I seen it here and there, where I knew of it. But honestly, like growing up, my magazine that I was getting was the Xbox magazine. Honestly, actually, that was like the main one I was subscribed to, just because like you get like the demo disc every month of like upcoming games and stuff. Um, so like I didn't really get the Star Wars Insider one, but I'd seen it here and there over the years. But like you mentioned, the problem with print magazine in general, or print in general, I mean, heck, even with books, look at like Master of Evil. Comes out, it's brand new. We just 2 days later we do a full spoiler review essentially. So instead of someone like Milton going out and getting the book, they can just listen to our podcast for 45 minutes and get the gist of it essentially. So like that's the thing with digital nowadays, is like anything that would be a potential magazine would just be a string of a few tweets, and you'd read it in 2 minutes and be done essentially. So like it's just or you'd watch it on a TikTok, like a 60-second TikTok or something. And it's just a different way people are consuming media nowadays. And that's the problem with like physical media in general, is like in terms of like print media like that, it's just transitioned more toward bite-sized content. So that's why it's honestly, it surprises me Star Wars Insider was still going on. I didn't know it even still existed. But hey, hats off to them for having a really good run.
Yeah, the one thing that concerns me, and this ties into the greater overall scope of the community engagement with Star Wars right now, is it feels like it's really taking a lot of steps backwards.
Yep.
If you look at Star Wars Insider back in the day, Steve Sansweet, who now owns Rancho Obi-Wan, he was like the head of publicity or something. I'm not really sure what his exact title was at Lucasfilm, but back in those days, he was, spearheading stuff like Star Wars Insider, I think was a big focus. And that was a great way of like showing the fans around the world and community and having really fun articles. And that's continued on with Star Wars Insider. They often have great little fun little stories in there that shine a light on communities and whatnot. And now that that's going away, it's like, okay, we lost another one, because it hasn't been that long ago that it seems like Lucasfilm really pulled back on all their social media kind of YouTube stuff. They used to do, the Star Wars show, and then the different iterations of that, and then the High Republic show just gets the plug pull without even any announcement. And now it's starting to seem like Disney, and this is another thing we'll get into in a few minutes with the rise for the hunt for Ben Solo. It feels like Disney's like, no, Lucasfilm, stop being so forward with the fans, stop being such a great ambassador. Like, let's just be a faceless, cold entity that just puts out news, and that's all we do. Because I feel like that's what's happening now. We don't have that personal connection to the creatives and the fun side of Star Wars that a lot of these articles in Star Wars Insider would do, a lot of these fun little skits that they would do on their YouTube shows. And that really felt like, okay, this is a wholesome experience. And now it feels so corporate now. And I know Star Wars has always been corporate ever since Disney bought them out. But now it just seems like it's getting worse. And that's what really just gets me a little irritated. It's like, this is another notch in that belt where it's like, okay, it's tightening.
Yeah. Well, think about this. Under the Disney umbrella, from day one, from Star Wars Rebels, every time I would watch the new episode of Rebels, what I would do immediately after it would be over, I would open up their YouTube and watch Rebels Recon for like 15 minutes.
Another good example.
Yeah, I remember that.
And every single week, I always looked forward to it because there was always something interesting, a little tidbit, whatever. And I'd be willing to bet you any amount of money they don't have that for Maul.
Like where are our, even the flagship series, where is our Mandalorian dispatch or something after each episode? Like, You go to HBO, they do such a great job.
What was what's Ahsoka's nickname? Spy name?
Fulcrum.
Fulcrum. Why not have like the Fulcrum report after each episode of Ahsoka
Yeah.
or something? Like,
Yeah.
it's so easy. It's right there on a silver platter for engagement with your fans, and it's just like, nah, we're good.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It just rubs me the wrong way. What else can I say about it? It sucks. I get that it's ending. I wish it wasn't. I understand why. Still sucks, but because I was reading these things. I mean, I was specifically following because me and Matthew over on Tractor Beam would do our reviews of the insider short stories, and well, that's one aspect we won't be ever able to cover again, which is bittersweet. Hey, that's what it is. And another thing that's bittersweet is the news of what was being worked on and quickly canceled. So we're gonna dive finally into our story of the week. This is Adam Driver's Steven Soderbergh's movie called The Hunt for Ben Solo. So I'll read the Cliff Notes versions of what the heck happened here. So apparently Adam Driver had really these scripts. He's seen these scripts, one of the coolest effing scripts I've ever been a part of. That's what he says. And basically what was going on was Driver felt that there was unfinished business for Kylo Ren after the events of his trilogy and merging with the Force, to save Rey and all. So basically what happened was Steven Soderbergh and Rebecca Blunt outlined a script they brought to Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy, Carrie Beck, and Dave Filoni. Lucasfilm was interested, and Scott Z. Burns wrote a script. It was presented to Lucasfilm, and they actually loved the idea. They totally understood our angle and why we were doing it, Driver said. Then it went to Disney's Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, and they said no because they, quote, they didn't see how Ben Solo was alive, end quote. And this film was called The Hunt for Ben Solo. So those are just like the big roundabout ways here of this was a pretty recent development, it seems like. Back in 2023 is where I heard this from somewhere, that they were trying to get this thing off the ground. But I'll throw it to you, Milton. I know you've been wanting to talk about this one. What's your reaction on this?
Disney blew it. My thing is Bob Iger a businessman or is he a creator? Which one is he?
Oh, he's definitely a businessman.
Okay,
100%.
He's the CEO. He does not care about creating. Yeah. He just wants to make the money. It seems.
Right. So this is where I think he fumbled the bag, because what was the best part about the Star Wars trilogy, of the sequel trilogy? Who was the best character?
Kylo Ren / Ben Solo.
Yeah, Ben Solo by far, even over the OG characters. Essentially,
facts. It's not even a question. Like literally, from the day one of The Force Awakens, we all were locked in on Ben Solo. I mean that intro on I forget what planet it is. Whenever he kills old boy.
Oh, Jakku.
Jakku, yeah. Like the moment you saw him, glued to the TV. This was a project that could have, I think, redeemed Star Wars, because literally every Star Wars fan, new, old, loved Adam Driver. He's a great actor. You can tell he cared about the character. He didn't phone it in while he was playing the character. And he was interesting. Like, Kylo Ren was the only interesting character in the sequel trilogy by far. And I know Bob Iger, business-wise, is one of the best. He's a great executive. I mean, he's in charge of Disney for a reason. But Bobby, you're not getting paid to make creative decisions. We're not paying you to say, well, I wonder how Ben Solo will come alive. No, we're paying you to produce movies and run theme parks and sell merchandise. Like, that's what we're paying you to do. If I'm on the board of Disney, I'm thinking, Bobby, we're not paying you to be to write stories. And I feel that he wanted to be a creator in some of this. And this reminds me of the George Lucas book where he talks, or the Star Wars book. I think it was George Lucas book or Star Wars book. Or no, it was Bob Iger's book where he talks about how...
Bob Iger's, yeah.
Yeah, he talks about how we have the treatments for George, but we want to go into a different direction, and George didn't quite understand what we were looking to do, blah blah. And it's like, Bob, you're doing the same thing you did 10 years ago. Like, you're meddling in something you shouldn't meddle in. All you had to do was sign the deal and let your creative people be creative people. You finance, you fund, you produce. Stay your hand out of the cookie jar when it comes to making stories and films and whatnot regarding that part of it. I feel like it's so beyond me when you hear the term like studio interference. This feels like this was studio interference to a great project that would have I think united the fans. And I feel like Bob is just really weird about that. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him when it comes to how Star Wars should be. It's like, my God, bro, like, let it be what it needs to be, not what you want it to be.
Here's the worst part. From what I heard, this Alan Bergman guy, right? So he's, Bob Iger wasn't supposed to be CEO again, right? Like, Bob Chapek kind of blew it, and then he had to come in there to triage the company. Bob Iger was retired, and he got brought back from retirement to go lead the ship again. And since then, from what I hear, is he's been jockeying this guy Alan Bergman to be like his successor pretty soon. And this came to like the desk of Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, and Bob Iger, from what I heard, now maybe I don't have all the details like 100%, so take this maybe with a grain of salt, but Bob Iger left this decision mainly with Alan as like a test or something, to be like, oh, this is your first big action, like, what are we gonna do here? And he kind of gave it up to like Alan Bergman to sort of decide. And that's what Alan Bergman and Bob Iger were like, I think we're just not going to do this. And then apparently after the fact, Alan Bergman is not even in the running anymore to be the successor of Bob Iger. So since then, now we lost a freaking movie idea that we could have had because this freaking guy, it's like, oh, this is a mess. This is what I heard. Maybe it's not 100%.
It's chaos. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I'm not an executive. I don't know how they operate up there. I don't get it. But you're telling me, Bobby, like, this wouldn't have been a solid idea. Like, Steven Soderbergh, bro, is one of the best directors of this generation. Comes to you with a solid idea with Adam Driver, who, again, I bet you any money, Bob Iger loves him. Was like, oh, we got a great story for you with a respectable director. And he says no to him. Imagine if Marty Scorsese came with, oh, I got a Star Wars story for you, Bobby. Let's make this. You think he's saying no to Martin Scorsese or Christopher Nolan? Like, come on, bro. Like, you got a renowned director who wants to touch Star Wars. Imagine if Quentin Tarantino came to him. You think he's saying no to Quentin? Get out of here with that. Like, it's weird though. It's weird that you said no to a director like Steven Soderbergh. Like that's insane.
Disney is so reactionary. They are so reactionary. Every time they make a decision, it's on their back foot, like taking the blow and having to like go into a different spin move to go over here. And it's what's happened over and over and over again. And they still, like, notice what happened with everything after the Rise of Skywalker. Like, immediately their shift went to The Mandalorian. Far away from the sequel trilogy. They got as far away. They stopped releasing even books and comics didn't go near that space for years and years and years. And only until a year ago with this Kylo Ren comic, which has been awesome, by the way, did they start delving back into the sequel trilogy stuff again. I think they are so burned by just the fans' lackluster reaction to the whole sequel trilogy that I think that's their first gut reaction is, you can give us any good creative ever, and we're still going to say no because we still don't think enough time has gone by for the fans to really get over it, Do
you know? Yeah, and you know whose fault that is? That's on them, not the fans.
Yep.
Like, that's on Disney and the creatives there. Because literally, like, look, I don't know if George Lucas's treatments would have been the best idea. I don't know. We'll never know. But this isn't the first time that Disney Lucasfilm has, crapped the bed when it comes to creative or overall consistency. How many times did we hear during that first 5 to 6 years of Disney taking over, of creative differences, directors backing in and out,
Yep.
scripts weren't being done consistently.
Well, look,
You know,
I
like,
mean, Ryan
go ahead.
Johnson's been out there chirping in the media about his trilogy still recently.
Yeah.
Like, it's all over the place with these directors. But
That's
continue,
what I'm
Milton.
saying. It's inconsistent, and it's like it's like the schoolyard bully. How many
Yep.
times are you gonna let the schoolyard bully hit you until you hit him back? And I think as fans were like, you know what? I'm tired of being hit by Star Wars and
Yep.
I'm tired of hit by Disney because you keep disrespecting Star Wars and giving us crap, and you want us to take it. It's like, no, to hell with that. And of course, people are going to say, Milton, you sound like a whiny little bitch of a Star Wars fan. That's not it. I'm a grown adult who understands it's all fantasy and make believe. I get it. However, though, it's a project that is worldwidely known, that's impacted not only the American culture, but world culture. And all we're asking for is a solid, consistent story and product to be released and made, not some BS that you then want us to spend all our hard-earned money on and say, hey, this isn't really that steak that you want. It's some BS, liver that we just pulled out the
Yep.
garbage, and we're gonna just microwave it. I'm not eating that. Like, come on with that. Give us, like, if you want me to pay top money for, if you want champagne money but serve me beer quality type champagne, I'm not drinking it. I'm not paying for it. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, there's so much to unpack with all that. That's why I was just letting you guys go. Because I was just compiling my thoughts. I think, I think for starters, on your point there, Milton, about the story and things. Now, what have I always said on this podcast? All we need is Star Wars fans need a B-level story with A-level action, and they'll be happy. It's
Right.
really not that difficult, for starters. And as for all this Kylo Ren stuff, Chris, you brought it up. I think a lot of it has to do. I think them saying, "How could Ben come back?" is just cover for we're too scared because of the sequel backlash and overall what's been going on lately with Star Wars as a brand. Because like if I'm Bob Iger and I just wrote, I think Acolyte, it was 250 some million
Which
for that
is
show,
crazy.
and that show was a disaster in terms of viewership, ratings, everything. And then you turn around and say what you want about Andor, Chris, but hardly anybody watched the first season, and they spent 700 million on that show. And you turn around, you spend 700 on Andor, 250 on Acolyte, probably close to 200 on Mando season 3. Even Skeleton Crew, we just praised Skeleton Crew at the beginning of the podcast. Nobody watched that show either. Nobody's, relatively speaking, in terms of other pop culture, these shows are not getting watched by people. So if you're Bob Iger, you have all of this compounding cost. You have over $1 billion in Disney Plus cost essentially for all of these things, and nobody's watching stuff. The reviews are whatever. And then on top of that, you have the sequel backlash. It's hard. Like if I'm Bob Iger, if I'm looking at it from a pure business standpoint, it's so hard to say I would approve it if I wasn't a Star Wars fan, because it's like, what's the pure business wise, what's the justification for it when you have all of these costs and negative things that are surrounding it? And that's why we see Star Wars going in such a safe direction with Mando in theaters, with Ahsoka, even with Starfighter seems like it's going to be pretty safe. That's why they're going in more of a safe direction, because they don't want to take those risks. And I think, so you have that aspect in terms of just pure business. Like, if you're Bob Iger, it makes sense for him to deny it, I guess.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, if you're even somewhat, and this goes to your point, Chris, if you're even in somewhat in touch with the pulse of the fan base, you would have to realize people would be excited about this whether you hated the sequels or loved them.
Right.
Everybody loved Adam Driver and Ben Solo. So like, and honestly, Star Wars fans are over the whole thing of like, people want to be asking how is Ben coming back? Because I mean, the Emperor got exploded into 20 million pieces and he came back. So like anybody can come back to life in Star Wars. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, like
So
Luke says, no one really is gone.
Yeah.
Like it's
yeah, exactly. No one's really gone. Darth Maul got chopped in half and turned into a Spider-Man, and he still lives. So, Ben can come back. He's related to Luke and the Skywalker bloodline. So, like, that's where I think they should have done. That would have been a great olive branch for the fans. Like, because we know, not to like turn this into a too long-winded of a point, but we know we're going into a direction where there's probably going to be a lot of Rey coming up in the pipeline. What would be a better thing to do to olive branch to the fans than, we're excited about Starfighter or whatever, but if you could snap your fingers and eliminate that movie and have a Ben Solo movie, I think everybody would take that right now, and that would be a nice stepping stone to the Rey content
right.
because I'm telling you right now, I personally don't have a problem with Daisy Ridley or her portrayal or anything of Rey. But when people go into the theaters for that Rey movie, it'll be a hostile crowd because people have their preconceived notions about the sequels. And I feel like you can soften that blow if you would have had this Ben Solo movie come out first.
Right.
True.
I mean, you can. I think a good way to olive branch it. You mentioned it. What's the dimension that they use in the animation movies to like go between time and space?
World Between Worlds.
Yes, like you can utilize. I mean, hell, they've utilized it in Ahsoka. Like you can utilize that to like bring him back in some way, shape, or
Oh,
form. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, Bob, that's how you bring him back. There's your answer.
I even have a different answer, and it was already given to us in a way with this whole dyad thing, and we
Yeah,
haven't even really begun, even in all the ancillary books and comics, like they haven't really even delved into what it actually truly means to be a dyad. So if you have such a strong connection, we've seen how Rey revived Ben. Is Ben really dead? Like he
right.
could maybe, as long as she's
He just became one
alive,
with the Force. Yeah, he became one
he
with
can
the Force.
come back. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's, and honestly, like I agree with that. That you can bring him back in some way, shape, or form by that dyad thing. You can write that and make that work. I think that'd be actually the cool way to do the sequel after the sequel movies is to tell that story and tie in elements from Legends because I'm sure
Yep.
Legends touch on dyads and whatnot. It's really not that hard. It's very simplistic. We have the source material there that was written way back when. Just, I mean, because the true fans will be like, yes, this is what we want. And it was never no weird hidden agenda within those books or those
Yeah.
magazines back in the day. It was just great storytelling and adventure. And you were like, oh my God, this is what Star Wars was after Return of the Jedi. Like, how fire is this? Yeah, I mean, there's so many possibilities, man. Like, it's unfortunate because I think Ben, you make a great point. I think people will walk into the theater for the Rey movie a little bit of salty because they're thinking, man, they made her
Milton,
so they made her so OP in the sequel trilogy. What is she gonna do now? Like she can beat anybody. You
you
know, like
you know
what's gonna threaten her?
you know for my sports fans out here, Milton, you'll understand this.
Yeah.
This so this would be like this week the Browns started Shador Sanders. This would have been like if we started Dylan Gabriel at home in Cleveland after Shador got the win.
Hmm.
The fans, even though he was at home, it still would have been a hostile crowd against Dylan Gabriel over Shador. And
Yeah.
like that's the type of situation they're putting Daisy Ridley in the Ray movie in, where that movie is going to have to be wall to wall fantastic for
Right.
people to like it. Because if not, there's still going to be a bit of hostility because it'll be like, so we're really redoing the sequel stuff again to try to
Yeah.
like, hammer this point home. And I think with Adam Driver, if you do a Ben Solo comeback story, people would love that. I mean, look, some of the best parts of Rise of Skywalker are the little bits of Ben Solo that we get at the end when he's a hero again. It's like, dang,
Yeah.
this is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
holy smokes. Like he is like
Yeah.
this is sick. Like that's some of my favorite parts of the entire sequel trilogy because it's like, man, this is the Ben Solo like
Yeah.
like I want to see more of this. Like even if it's like a flashback with him and Luke or just anything, like I would love to see Ben Solo because Adam Driver did such a good job. And then like And then now, guys, we're years away from the Rey movies, but let me ask you this. Now, if you had to predict right now, do you think what are your percent chances if you put a percent chance on it? What percent chance do you think when the Rey movie rolls around that this Ben Solo project, people are going to be complaining, why didn't we get this instead? Like, that's going to be a thing.
At least, I'll say at least 30%.
Yep, it'll be brought up again.
I feel like, yeah, and this is where my other question leads into is like, we didn't get this movie. Maybe there's a shot of dark. We get it, but do you think it's possible they'll fold in parts of the script into that movie?
Potentially. I mean, if
it's supposed to be a trilogy, so like maybe that's a through line in the trilogy.
Yeah, maybe something where we're like, hey, like she realizes, like maybe they pick up the dyad storyline where like, okay, she's still sensing something and something's off, and Ben is like that. Ben's part of that through line where like, hey, like you need to bring him back some way, shape, or form. I don't know. Maybe there's a bigger evil out there that requires them both to take on. That would be a way to do it.
See, I would love for them to do this. Forget even some of these like reasons we brought up. I would love for them to do this to bring Ben back from like the Force realm, essentially, because that was an original concept George Lucas had, actually, because when Obi-Wan at the end of Return of the Jedi, Obi-Wan stepped back out of the Force netherworld because his mission was complete, essentially. So he, in George's original version of Jedi, like Luke, it's kind of similar to the ending, where Luke burns his dad and yada yada, and he sees like Anakin and Yoda, but Obi-Wan like steps out like into the platform, like there where Luke is, and actually, it's because like, he completed his mission essentially, like to help like Luke, do all that stuff. And like, I would love for them to like somehow get Adam Driver back because, like George kind of had that idea. And like, maybe Adam Driver, like, hey, Ben Solo helping Rey take down the Emperor, like, maybe that can get him out of the Force Netherworld back or something. Like, I just think there's so much they could do with that character.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff happening, as I said, in those comics that take place between Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Basically, what's going on is Kylo Ren goes to Vader's castle, goes into Vader's meditation chamber, and goes into a trance that puts him into that same world you're talking about, Ben. Yep. And he's in this spiritual plane of existence with these Force ghosts all over the place. And he's like, and he talks with Luke Skywalker. Like, he literally has a conversation with Luke in this other realm of existence. And it's just a great going back and forth between Kylo and Luke. And it's a really great moment. And we were promised that in Last Jedi when he's like, I'll see you around, kid. And this comic actually does that, which is awesome.
Right.
That's already been kind of established that he's been in a certain place like that. Not that Charles Soule probably even had any notes for this at this point.
He probably got it from Colin Trevorrow's script. Because remember in that movie, Luke is haunting Kylo Ren the whole time.
Yep, he's following him around.
So I mean,
got that concept.
I think, and I know this is the focus on Ben thing, but I think going back to one of the points you made earlier, you were talking, Ben, about Disney and Bob being so cautious and hesitant. I'll use a sports analogy. What happens anytime a franchise is bad for 5 or 6 years? What do they tend to do? They tend to rebuild. They trade all their BS away. They get draft picks, draft capital, fire their coaching staff, get a new GM, and they start over. And it tends to do well because they're now saying, okay, we're going to learn from our mistakes. We're going to build through the draft. We're going to spend smarter on free agency. We're going to spend smarter on contracts. Like, that's all they have to do. It's okay to admit, hey, we made a mistake here with our old realm of doing things in the first 10 years of taking over. These next 10 years, now let's rebuild. Let's acknowledge that's our history. Yep, let's learn from it. Let's get a new GM, a new coach. but let's use our money differently to tell different stories. Like, it's okay to admit it. I think the fans will
Yep.
respect it.
100%. And that's the thing. Look, I've seen it firsthand with the Browns. The past 4.5 years, we've doubled down on Deshaun Watson when he's been a disaster at quarterback, and the Browns are in a terrible place right now because of it. Versus them cutting bait maybe a couple years ago, and like I think with this situation with Star Wars, like, I mean, we're not even doubling down, we're tripling down. We got a Rey trilogy essentially. Even Starfighter. Starfighter's a
Mm-hmm.
sequel. Starfighter's a sequel era movie.
Yep.
Like all these things, like we got four, and I guess even if you even want to throw the Charmaine movie in there, so you have 5 sequel movies essentially coming out, and like to me, it's just like,
Did you count
what
the
are we
Kinberg
doing?
movies?
Yeah, so it's the three Simon Kinberg
Yep.
movies,
Yep.
because that's a trilogy. You got the Charmaine movie, that's 4, if that comes out, and then you have the Starfighter movie, that's 5.
Yeah.
You have 5 sequel movies you're doubling down on. 4 of them essentially are Ray movies, where it's kind of like, and that's not us hating on Ray, it's just the facts. You have 4 Ray movies where people are going to have their eyebrows raised and very skeptical glasses on and going into that movie, versus like, why not, if you're going to try to do that, if you're going to try to build in that direction, the only way you can rebuild a sputtering franchise is you have to start with, like Milton said, start with the ground up. But you also, if you start with a good like franchise piece, which to me in this case, in this example, would be Adam Driver and Ben Solo, because Ben Solo to me is safe, but it's also a good enough character where you can expand on him, and people on both sides of the fandom, whether you don't like the sequels or do, you like Ben Solo most likely. I mean, that's like probably a 95% chance. So you got most of the audience involved. And I think it's a good foundation, a good building block. And they're like missing that. And then now we're gonna like go into it, because we've all seen the chatter online. Look at, people talked about Starfighter, and some of the chatter that comes up is like, well, it still leads to Rey. And it's like, you already hear that talk. So it's just like, I wish, like, if they would get Adam Driver back and Ben Solo back in the universe, that's a character that, like, him and Rey's chemistry, it worked well in the movies. So like, I think it would be ideal for them to bring him back.
Yeah, and I just keep getting hung up on the fact of thinking about the idea that Adam Driver himself was championing this damn script. Like, I don't know about you, but I thought he was done. Like, I thought when the Rise of Skywalker was over,
Oh yeah, his
he's like,
comments
oh,
and everything.
I'm done. I'm good. I did my Star Wars. He's the last damn actor I would have expected to have this kind of passion, to be like cursing in these quotes. Like, this effing script was
Yeah.
so good. Like, I'm like, wait, what? Why did you think his word alone would be good enough for Bob Iger to be like, oh wait, my star celebrity actor is behind this? He knows the character. He played the character. Like, we don't often get that in Hollywood. Like, the actors just do this as a job. They move on. So this is the crazy part for me. So I'm still just, I don't get it.
Yeah. And think about this, like, another, like, if we want to go like more in universe as well. Think about this, guys. Like Milton, let me ask you this one. Like, so, you know, think about how interesting it would be having a character like Kylo, or well, Ben, come back to life, where it's not like Vader, where you can just die after you get done committing all your crimes and stuff.
Yes.
Like Kylo Ren, like, I mean, think about that. Like, here's an idea for you, Milton. Like, what if it's like Ben Solo is kind of like a fugitive situation, where he
Mm.
can't like be out in public too much, because it's like, I'm still trying to kind of find a way to clear my name or something because of all this stuff I did or whatever, like, there's so many directions they could go with something like this.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be an interesting way to look at it and do it. It makes sense, because I mean, he can't just run around and be like, "Oh, all's good." That'd be kind of that'd be a waste to what we already established with him. I mean, he's going to have to redeem himself, and it'd be curious to see what that looks like.
I would
That
love, yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, my idea would be build a new trilogy. Build a new trilogy of him, and the entire trilogy would be so well connected to the sequels because you would see like his downfall in Force Awakens, 8 and 9, and then 10, 11, 12 would be like his rise to like respect once again. And by the end of the third movie, he's like pardoned of his crimes or something like that. But it was such a long way to get there. And there was like the Yuzong Vong and everything like that. Like some great threat. Like we haven't seen that in Star Wars, but the tie between two trilogies would take a lot for us to forgive the freaking guy. But if you gave us a whole trilogy of movies, like 6.5, 7 hours worth of content to do that with, that could kind of be plausible, and it'd be a cool redemption arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, think about that. Like, just imagine, obviously in universe, you could have him do some heroic stuff, like saving some rebel people or whatever, But even like in the audience's eyes, like, just imagine what if we're in the movie and, I don't know, what if Chewbacca is in like a dire situation where he's about to get taken out and like Ben somehow steps in to save the day and stuff. Saving Chewbacca would be an auto redemption in the audience's eyes because it's like saving the family dog where it's like, well, dang, he saved Chewie, so like, he's
Yeah.
redeemed. Like there's so many like cool, and just think about, see, and that's me just spitballing, but like if he saved Chewbacca in like a heroic way, that would be also iconic too because he'd be saving his dad's, whatever. Like it'd be like a reverse of Han saving Chewie, like, or it would be like Han saving Chewie from the Empire, like Ben saving Chewie from whatever threat it would be. Like there's so many things they could do with like connecting Ben and Chewbacca, in terms of like creativity as well.
Oh yeah, no, there's so many good examples. We have Sabat Head in the chat saying anything they could do with Ben Solo is good in my opinion. So there you go. I've never seen him in
Great.
our chat, but apparently he's down. I'm actually like you guys are basically the sounding board for the fans, that aren't so high on the sequel trilogy, and the fact that I opened up this conversation with point blank asking Milton, and he's like, "Man, this should happen." From a guy that didn't really like the sequels for most of it, I could say, suddenly
It's
just
true.
wants this to happen. I mean, like this is what I mean. Like it's going to turn people's decisions around because
Yeah.
of the character. We don't even know what the story
Like
would
literally the only, like, I'm not kidding you. Like The Force Awakens, I actually like. I've been very clear on that. I actually
Yep.
like that movie. Very consistent. You know how I feel about the middle movie. Can barely get through it, but Kylo Ren still is the best part of that movie. He's still the best part of The Force Awakens. He's the best part of the Rise of Skywalker. Like every time he's on scene, you're polarized by him. I mean, the height of his power, I think, is still the Force Awakens when he's doing the mask acting, when he's talking to the Darth Vader
be.
burned helmet, melted helmet. It's like, my God, dude, like what acting is that? It's beautiful. You feel it. You feel that he believes that he's talking to his grandfather. You feel that he's, enmeshed in this world. He wants to be closer to Vader. He's seeking a way to get closer to him. Like he's the best part of that whole sequel. And that's why it's like, give us that character. Give us something that's going to keep us feeling like, okay, this is Star Wars. It's a positive thing, and this will hopefully bring fans back into it.
Yeah, well said, well said. Any last thoughts on this one, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I just have to agree with both of you guys on all these points throughout this whole podcast. Just because, like, for me, I think Ben Solo, like we said, he's one of the most intriguing characters in the Disney era, and I just think he's one of the few characters, other than him getting taken out, he's one of the few characters that people responded to pretty positively in terms of just overall reception, like like how Mando was really well received, and other characters like that were really well received. Ben Solo's right in that area as well, and I just think, um, yeah, I just think we need more of them. And, I think they should consider this. Hopefully, I don't know, in my eyes, hopefully this was just like a feeler thing where it's like, hey, let's throw it out there and see how how impassioned people get about this, and maybe we will approve this eventually. Maybe we got some 3D chess going on, hopefully from the company.
Hopefully, yeah.
Um, but one thing I do have to say, I will give credit where credit is due. And I mentioned this when I was talking to Star Wars Santa about this. Um, hey, good job on Dave Filoni, Carrie Beck, Kathleen Kennedy for all being excited about this project. Because to me, honestly, like, you know, when you hear, I don't know, when you hear a really cool project like this come up, to me, it feels like Kathleen Kennedy would probably want to axe it, honestly. So, like, I'm very happy that she was behind it as well. And it
Hmm.
just also, I think one thing that flew under the radar in our entire discussion tonight, though, is the fact that we didn't even dive into it, and I'll just bring it up briefly. Is it just shows where Star Wars is in standing with Disney as a company, like Lucasfilm as a company? Because if you think about it, Indiana Jones bombed too, and then all these other issues with Star Wars going on of how much they're spending and lack of interaction and stuff. To me, it just shows Disney is viewing Star Wars not as like a priority brand in terms of like budgets and things like that,
Hmm.
because I would be willing to bet you any amount of money if this was on the other foot, if this was Kevin Feige coming to Bob Iger with some off the wall idea, like heck, I mean, let's just use Tony Stark as an example. I mean, we know Robert Downey's coming back, but a straight up The Hunt for Tony Stark movie, let's just call it that. If Kevin Feige came to Bob Iger with that idea and pitched it, I would be willing to bet you it would be approved by tomorrow, tomorrow morning,
Right.
because they have that built-in trust with Kevin Feige. They haven't been burnt too many times by him. And with Star Wars, it's like, God, or Lucasfilm in general as a brand, Lucasfilm, we keep sinking all these costs with Indiana Jones and all these projects the last few years for Star Wars. Even look at shows like Willow, it
Yeah,
crashed.
Willow.
Like,
Yeah.
you have all these things that have crashed, and I think that just shows you more of a state of what Disney is viewing Star Wars as a brand more than anything, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the harsh reality of the situation. Um, let's hope that Mandalorian and Grogu is a smash hit, brings a little bit
Yep.
of confidence back to Disney with giving Lucasfilm more things to do. We got to play it safe again for a little bit. Let's play it safe long enough just so we can get these crazy cool ideas back. But yeah, this is the first time we're talking about this. Won't be the last for sure. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Aaron Daly coming in to the comments there. Hopefully, they're paying attention to the amount of fans who want this film produced and find a way to bring it into the future. Yeah, I know there's my friend Ben Hart from the Star Wars Underworld started like a petition. It has over 6,000 signatures on that thing already.
Yep.
So there's people out there. Even Ryan Johnson wants this thing to happen. He's gone
Yeah.
on record to say he wants this to
Well,
happen.
him. I mean, you got the big Star Wars channels we all know about, like Theory and those type of folks. They all posted videos saying they want it. You know, like it's everywhere. It's like, come on, like they got to hear people responding positively to it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's get this grassroots movement for Ben Solo. Come on, guys. But there you go. I think that'll do it for tonight. Thanks, guys, for an awesome discussion. As always, Milton, where can the people find you online?
They can find me at Milton Weber 7 on Twitter or Milton 7 Weber on Instagram.
All right, and Ben.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Real Ben Maynard. I'm always on there talking football and Star Wars, and that's about it at the moment.
Yeah, and you can find me right here on YouTube, youtube.com/Starrapter, talking about the latest comics, books, and more for Star Wars, plus some other things. As I mentioned, you could also listen to us on the go via any podcast app of your choice, whether it be Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or more. Next week, we'll be doing another review, going into another review. This time, it's for something that you probably didn't even think about, but I am at least by myself. I might have a guest, maybe one or two of these guys will also join us. The Destiny 2 expansion with the Star Wars content called Renegades coming in. There's a Kylo Ren like character. There's a Grand Moff Tarkin-esque character. There's lightsabers. There's actual blasters in the game with Sarlacc pits and Echo base look-alike bases and everything else. So I will be breaking down that maybe with a coworker of mine, and maybe these guys will join us as well. But yeah, that'll be next week. But this was a great one for this week. This was episode 215 of the Outer Rim Transmission podcast. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, may the Force be with you always in transmission. All right, that's a wrap.